And hello, everyone, and welcome to the Copyright 2.0 show, episode number 368. My name is Jonathan Bailey. I'm from the website Plagiarism Today, and username Plagiarism Today at pretty much all the things. And joining me, as usual, the man who is the secret inspiration behind nearly every rap song on the planet, attorney Evan Sherez. Evan, how are you doing?
You continue to astound me, John. I'm doing well.
Well, I didn't say which ones. I just said nearly every.
I made up a new term today. I'm going to say that I'm trumping today, which basically means that I'm doing whatever I want,
damn right,
whenever I want, and everybody loves it.
So it's not a reference to the hair anymore.
No, it's not a hair. It's not a hair reference. I've changed it.
You are definitely not trumping on the top now. Very, very suave-looking, close cut going on for you. Actually, I like this stuff. I decided after a few weeks with it, I really like that look on you. I really do. It looks very, very good. It looks very, very masculine, and it suits you.
Oh, stop it, John.
It suits you.
Oh, excuse me, that's my phone. I'll turn that off, and it can be a little bit annoying, I'm sure.
It's all right. Oh, he's sitting here. For those who aren't watching the video, he's sitting in a Simon Cowell black T-shirt, looking like one of the manliest men to ever manly man.
Oh, John. Go on.
Truth is truth. It's truth, though. Yeah, but anyways, how have you been doing?
I've been doing good. I really can't complain. Work's going well. It's still nice and hot here in DC.
Right. It's hot ever. It's hot here too.
Oh yeah, it is. What else is there to say? I'm going to be doing some trivia tonight.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Looking forward to that. I'm a big fan of trivia, so.
Yeah, I've been meaning to do a pub trivia night here, and I think I finally might get my chance upcoming to do a few because it hasn't timed out. The pub trivia nights don't work well for me, but things have shifted a little bit, and now I think I have an opportunity staring me down. So it'll be good. It'll be good. Actually, I have done pub trivia once, and it was when I was in England. I did it. I was basically I went to meet. I was at a conference. I went to meet some people at the conference at a bar. I was already sloshed. I don't get like drunk a lot. I'm not that type of person. But I was drunk in England, stammering around Newcastle this particular time, and I ended up getting pulled into. Ended up going to a bar to meet some friends. My friends didn't show up. They didn't make it. They had some difficulties. They called me later to explain it. But they were doing pub trivia. And, basically, apparently the rules at this bar were that you could just rope anyone in to be on your team at almost any time. And so I'm sitting there, and they pass out the little pub trivia sheets. And they're asking about Gary Oldman movies. And I'm a huge Gary Oldman fan. And so this guy tugs on my shirt and says, "Hey, buddy, you know Gary Oldman films?" And I'm like, "Oh, do I?" So next thing I know, I'm roped into a pub trivia contest. By the way, 100%. I would like to say that. 100%.
Oh, wow. Well done.
It was 16 movies. I got them all based upon photos of Gary Oldman in each one.
Well, Gary, if you are listening.
I'm apparently a bigger fan than I realized. But yeah, 100%. Our team got 100% on that round. I don't remember much else because I had to leave. But yeah, so it was a lot of fun. But no, I'm looking forward to doing it, and actually doing it proper.
Well, if you're ever in DC, we'll do maybe a live taping and then head to a live in-person taping, and then we'll head to a pub. Why don't you jump into the stories that we're going to do?
Yeah, we got a lot of copyright news this week. A lot of first off, the first salvo in the war against SoundCloud has been fired.
Overseas as usual.
Overseas as usual. Yes. Makes sense for a lot of reasons in this case. TV Eyes, the media clipping service, loses on a very, very key point here after scoring some pretty big wins, we thought. Pokemon Company goes Pikachu and and shuts down a fan gathering at the Popular PAX conference. It's going to be a long podcast, folks. It's going to be a long show. Getty Images is reportedly investigating a $1 million painting of the Pope in celebration of his upcoming visit to Philadelphia. Facebook has announced a new tool that it thinks will help owners stop, quote-unquote, freebooting of content on the service. Radio giants on both sides are facing lawsuits on both sides of the Atlantic over pre-1972 sound recordings. Then we have a brief update on the Square Enix and SNK Playmore case in Japan. And finally, are you old enough to remember Ms. Cleo? I'm just curious.
Of course, man.
Okay, man, and we're okay because we got Miss Cleo in the house. Yes, well, not actually, but we have heard the news about Miss Cleo in the house. So, yeah, thank God. I was worried I would show my age horribly on that one. But, yeah, we got a lot to go over. So, SoundCloud, let's start with what the news media has been abuzz about.
Yeah, so SoundCloud has been sued. SoundCloud, of course, is a service that allows users to upload music, and those audio files generally stay up there. I even have a SoundCloud account for No Cover Band, and some of my original music. If any of our listeners want to check that out, I guess you can check it out. It's a SoundCloud, The Generator, Jules, and that was No Cover Band, long story. Yeah. My brother was Joel. Anyways, we'll get into it another time. And then my own personal one is my name. They've been sued in England for not obtaining licenses and not paying royalties. The court papers aren't public yet, so we don't know for how much they're being sued, how broad the attempt is, but we do know that the people who are suing them, PRS, their members include Adele and Sir Paul McCartney. So, this isn't going to be a small fry situation.
Yeah, PRS is a major performing rights organization over in the UK. They're similar to, like, I would say, ASCAP here in the United States in terms of the body of artists they represent. But therefore, we're ASCAP, of course, the A stands for American. PRS is a UK agency. And this is an oddly international affair because we typically think of the music industry as being like a U.S. phenomenon because that's where most of the major labels are based. But here we have a UK agency suing a German company. They're based out of Berlin, actually, in the United Kingdom. So...
Well, I actually didn't know this, but but PRS, SoundCloud was actually based out of England. I didn't.
Oh, really? I thought they were. I thought it said here SoundCloud was based in Berlin. Huh? Interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a bizarre lawsuit to say the least, and no one really expected this out. But there's been talk and murmurs about record labels or performing rights agencies going after SoundCloud at some point. But, like, before Thanksgiving, you'll see something. But here we have the first salvo fired in, late August, because we're recording this on September 1st, and in the United Kingdom, which kind of caught me off guard a little bit that it took place there because, like, the Groove Shark case, that was purely an American phenomenon. It took place exclusively in the U.S. courts. It doesn't look like this one's going to happen this way. And it makes me wonder if it's going to wind up being a multinational litigation campaign against SoundCloud.
Well, I guess it depends on this one goes, but, did you get a chance to look at their revenue figures as reported in the news article?
No.
I didn't realize this. They've been around a long time, so you figure some of these free-to-use services would eventually find a way to make a profit.
Yeah.
Their most recent year in 2013... Although they are valued at $700 million, they're not one of these bubble companies that doesn't make enough money. They had $14 million revenue and $29 in expenses.
Wow.
So
I'm not a math genius. But I am reasonably sure 14 is a smaller number than 29.
They're not making a lot of money here.
I'm reasonably sure that that's actually what you call a loss. They are taking a $15 million hit per year. Yeah, and I know they recently just started switching on advertising, getting more serious about advertising. But, we say this, like, Pandora has struggled to make a profit. Spotify has struggled to make a profit.
Well, free to use for a significant portion of your users is not an easy way to make money. There's really no way around that.
Yeah, like we discussed previous weeks, something like one paid Spotify customer is worth something like 27 or 28 free ones in terms of revenue generated.
Yeah, it's startling.
And that's in terms of revenue. We're not even getting into cost of serving them. It's bonkers because I'm sure the paid customers do use the service more, but they don't use it 28 times more. You know what I mean? I think that's pretty much physically impossible. So yeah, it's it's very difficult to make money off of free music, and that goes for both the companies like Pandora, like SoundCloud and Spotify, but also for the record labels who are not seeing the licensing and the royalties from it either. So it's just basically everyone's going broke off free music, it seems. So.
Well, I get it. You know,
Yeah.
It's hard to get advertisers to pay that much.
Yeah.
You know, there's so many free to use. You know, your competitors are YouTube, and your competitors are Apple Music as well. So it's a tough market.
Yeah, it is.
But I think that brings us, John, to the TV Eyes story, which I think gets maybe the worst headline.
Yeah.
Title.
Oh, what you're saying? Media Post messed up the title. I'm gonna write Wendy Davis on your behalf and let her know.
Guilty of copyright infringement, but fair use found. That means you're not.
Yeah. Well, we're still. Yeah, this is a bizarre lawsuit here. The bizarre story in general here, because TV Eyes is a media clipping service. Basically, they kind of are like a giant DVR for radio and TV and cable, but they also make things indexable. They sort of categorize it. So that way, if you are interested in seeing when people mentioned your name, you can search your name and view and download clips relevant to you. And it's very common to be used by like companies and press PR agencies and so forth.
But it's also categorized in other ways, so that, for example, when the government wants to look up a certain individual or event, they're tagged that way as well. So that's something the court does eventually talk about.
Yeah. And we previously discussed how the court had pretty much ruled that the indexing service, where that part where they are recording and indexing everything, is a fair use. It's a transformative fair use. That element of it is a-okay. Then, of course, the Fox News here is the plaintiff in this case. They were not too pleased with that ruling, but then we're moving on from that. We're now on to one discussing the element of the service that lets users share and download clips from the service.
That's right. So the earlier ruling said that this indexing clipping service was transformative, which is a part of the fair use test, which usually ends up being the determinative factor, which means that is this reproduction or a derivative work, or insert your copyright violation. Is it transformative so much so that it really provides a different service than the original did? It's something that the original did not really intend to capitalize on. And they said, well, yeah, there's all these other important functions that are done here, and
yeah.
we really think so.
And a good comparison, in a way, to when you're looking at just that portion is Google. Google scans the interweb, saves copies of everything, and makes it so that you can search for whatever you need to find.
That's right. That's right. So the little images that you see when you look up Google Images, those little thumbnails, those are determined to be transformative, because the person who owns the original image can still sell that original image to news centers, can still license that image out, and there's really no market for that little preview of it, and it allows the original to retain its value.
And for that ruling, by the way, we can thank Perfect 10, the Detroit Lions of copyright.
That's an excellent analogy. Perfect 10 is a pornography company that has very vigilantly enforced its intellectual property in the past.
Very vigilantly and very unsuccessfully in the courts. Yeah, not known for their winning ways. Anyways.
So the downloading and sharing options have also been determined to be fair use by this judge.
Okay.
And basically what he said is that you couldn't really parse these functions, because the same reasons why I said they were transformative, the same reasons I said that they were a shareable for an important, and they also serve an important function for police and Congress. You can't really parse that they are going to send these to their colleagues.
Okay, I'm a little confused, because the article seems to say that it was found not to be a fair use in its current incarnation, that it could be, but it was not. Am I misreading something?
Why don't you read me what your
okay, it said, I'll read, it's actually the last paragraph of the article said, but in its current incarnation, TV Eye's emailing feature cannot discriminate between sharing with a boss and sharing with a friend, nor between sharing for inclusion in a study and sharing for a clip and inclusion in a client sales pitch. Fair use cannot be found unless TV Eyes develop necessary protections.
Right. So I think if you tag on to what he says in the beginning, right, which is that,
Okay.
you know, while there's a substantial potential for abuse, he generally endorsed the concept that subscribers should be able to send clips, but there was potential for abuse. So he didn't issue the summary judgment ruling saying that it could be done either way. But when this case will eventually move on to the process of presenting evidence one way or another, if it does get to trial, they're going to have to show that there are safeguards. So
yeah, basically, yeah. And that was what my understanding was. They denied a summary judgment basically on this, and they're moving forward to trial on these issues.
Exactly. So
okay.
He didn't. So
okay, we are on the same page. Okay.
Yes.
I'm like, okay. Zen. All right, we are okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's a big blow to TVIs because they scored that big summary judgment earlier on the transformative indexing, and now that this issue is moving forward, and now the case has gotten the attention of pretty much every media company you care to name. They all filed briefs ahead of this recent ruling. So it's this case is definitely starting to pick up steam in terms of A, the importance of it, and B, the amount of interest it's generating within the industry.
Right. I mean, what this judge is saying is that, you know, if you can protect sharing and protect emailing, or maybe not protect it, maybe protect is the incorrect word, if you can, you know, carve it out so that it's only used in a way that the judge likes, which may not even actually be possible, then he is like, okay, this is fine with fair use. So it kind of opens, in my opinion, the door for emailing and sharing and as fair use from the judge's perspective. So that's where I was coming from.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and that makes sense. Yeah, you're approaching it from the opposite side, but we're getting to the same end destination.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you're looking at the positive things. The judge said I'm looking at the negative things. So we know who says the glass is half full in this podcast.
Well,
have established psychology.
Speaking of the glass being half full,
oh man,
let's see if I can get here. You know, there's really no right way to look at this next story.
Yeah, well, basically, you know, the way it works is this. You know, there was at one point there was to be a 5th annual unofficial Pokemon PAX kickoff party. But then
I had my tickets ready.
Yeah, I know.
But
then the Pokemon company used lawsuit, and it was super effective. Yes, the puns are legion for this one.
Jesus Christ.
Basically, the Pokemon company, which is like a rights-holding company in the game, which apparently holds nearly all the rights you would think of, both video game-related, both card game and video game-related, other than the actual games themselves, which are produced by Nintendo, filed a lawsuit against the organizers of the event, forcing it to be canceled just days ahead of when it was supposed to take place. And the Eventbrite page went down, Facebook page went down, cats and dogs living together, seas boiling, utter chaos ahead of the PAX conference, a major video game conference. So, yeah, but I mean, the issue they seemed to take was with the promotional material. The promotional material used very popular Pokemon characters, including Pikachu, which is pretty much the only Pokemon character I recognize.
Yeah, I didn't recognize the other one either. So,
I don't know that little green dude. Someone's going to have to help me with that one. I came a little bit behind Pokemon. My brother was more the age for Pokemon than I was. Even then, I think he missed it, but you know.
Apparently tickets sold out to the event, and people were using the hashtag Pokegate on Twitter. They were mad at the company, and it's a very litigious step. I mean, you usually don't try to sue your fans. How much money could they possibly be making in a launch party at PAX?
Well, I mean, not just do you not try to sue your fans, but to my knowledge, there was no like cease and desist, no warning step here. It went straight for the lawsuit, you know?
I would be surprised if that was the case. I mean, sometimes those things don't get recorded, published. They'd have to have very, very aggressive counsel to not, get them to send a cease and desist letter. I mean, why pay a lawyer to write a complaint when you can get them to write a cease and desist letter? So there probably was one written.
There probably was. Maybe it went to the wrong person. Maybe it got ignored. Who knows?
It was probably ignored. I mean,
and if that's the case, that was highly unwise. But
well, I don't know. I might have counseled someone to go forward with it too. Just saying like, okay, if you get sued, it could be a big problem. But are they really? I don't know if they will. I guess I probably would have obviously counseled any client to not do it because it's a copyright violation, especially if they're making money off of it. But if it was a pure like fan launch party, I don't know. I think there could be an argument of fair use here. We're getting together to celebrate your product. We're not there's a commercial aspect to it, and
even ignoring potential fair use issues here, I mean, it feels heavy-handed to me to sue your fans. And, I was just having a very lengthy conversation the other night about fan fiction and how most content creators kind of tolerate it. As long as you don't sell it on Amazon or whatever.
Exactly.
It's A-okay. Just, there's like this unwritten rule. There are some exceptions looking at you, Anne Rice. She can't see me looking at her, but she is one of the exceptions to the rule. But yeah, there are some that disagree. But even like, for a time there, I remember like decades ago, Paramount with Star Trek clamped down on fan fiction. Even they have completely changed their tune and actually give even semi-official places to post it now. So, and they've even like that upcoming fan movie. I'm trying to remember. That was like on Kickstarter. Got like $100,000 budget on Kickstarter. They're allowing to move forward. So, yeah, they've really changed their tune from like when I was a huge Star Trek fan, say 20 years ago.
Well, I don't know who told them to sue their fans, but I would have counseled against it for sure. Yeah, what are they losing? You don't lose your copyright by selectively enforcing it.
Yeah,
it's not like your trademark, okay? Which you're probably a lot more incentivized by the law to enforce.
Yeah,
these are your fans. It's one party. They're celebrating your product. Everyone's going to go buy your product afterwards.
And it's also worth noting this was the 5th one. This wasn't the first.
This is the 5th one, and I think this was a poor business decision. Albeit a fairly cut and dry legal decision. And that's all I really have to say about it.
We've even watched Disney get more relaxed about these types of things over the past 5 years or so. Like, remember the whole Frozen thing? Everyone's like, oh, God, Disney's going to go sue everybody. Because, all this fan art and all this, stuff.
All the Elsas.
All the Elsas everywhere. And all the covers of Let It Go on YouTube. Oh, my God, all the covers of Let It Go on YouTube. Everyone's like, Disney's going to go crazy. Disney didn't actually sue anyone that I heard. Disney didn't go bonkers. And Frozen was still a major success. So I don't think anyone with a daughter under the age of 12 is going to say Frozen was not a huge success.
Frozen was a massive success.
It was. It really was. It was crazy bonkers success. And I don't know. I agree with you. Legally, I think this is fairly open and shut. But I think in terms of was it wise, probably not.
Well, it's open and shut because they're suing someone who can't and won't defend themselves.
Yeah.
Aside from like the legal arguments, which are probably massively favoring them. This is probably a loose association of fans who they're suing.
Yeah. So and this is a default judgment waiting to happen at best.
That's right. So this brings us to a photograph of the Pope that sold. Sorry, a painting of the Pope.
Yeah, a painting
for $1 million.
Well, it is on sale for $1 million. It hasn't sold yet, apparently. Yes, back in 2013, an Italian photographer, Franco Orgila, my Italian is non-existent, took a photograph of the Pope, which is owned by Getty Images, or the Getty Images, rather, I should say, has the rights to. Now, apparently, a painter by the name of Perry Mulot did a painting in sort of celebration for the Pope's upcoming visit to Philadelphia, and that painting is apparently absolutely everywhere. I'm in Philadelphia right now. It's on tote bags, it's on T-shirts, it's on pretty much everything you care to think about. And yes, the original is being sold for $1 million. However, apparently there's accusations that Millot based his painting on the original work by that's done by Getty Images, the original photograph.
Right. I mean, we can't show the photos to our listeners, but if you take a look at them, he's in the exact same pose. So it's
exact same pose. The lighting is the same. Yeah.
It's colorized, so you can't really quite tell on that, but it's the exact same pose. It's clearly what we like to call strikingly similar in copyright. It's a beyond substantial similarity. So, you know, the only legal defense that I think there would be here would be fair use. They're like, oh, you know, like I changed it so much, you know, it's no longer a photograph, it's a painting, and the colors are so different. And we saw this before with the
Shepard Fairey,
the very similar case of the Obama Yes We Can photograph that was turned into the blue-red poster that went everywhere.
Yeah, the Obama Hope poster. It was about Shepard Fairey, yeah.
All right, did I say Yes We Can? I hope.
Yeah, it was Hope.
So there was a similar argument there that, oh, this is transformative use. That ended up settling out of court with the original artist getting a substantial royalty. So in this case, we're probably going to end up seeing the same thing. And from my perspective, they're too close. They're clearly, one is clearly based off the other. And if the rights haven't been licensed, well, they should have been.
Yeah, and I agree. But, you know, in a weird way, this case feels like a second chance. Because the Fairey case got sidetracked and derailed because Fairey did that really stupid thing where he hid evidence and altered evidence from the court. And courts don't like that. It tends to blow up your case. And he basically, I mean, the consensus is he was largely forced to settle because he destroyed his own case. Now, I still think he would have wound up exactly in the same place at the end of it all. But here we actually have a a case with almost identical facts. Yeah. You think about it. I mean, this is as close to identical in the facts as you're going to get. Instead of the Associated Press, though, it's Getty Images who owns the rights. So yet another large wire service type company owns it. Another well-known, but you know, maybe not a household name painter here. So the facts all line up in terms of who used it, who it was from. Everything lines up. Let's just hope that, you know, at the very least, this case is, you know, handled and litigated with integrity by both sides, and that if nothing else, we get a fair and decisive ruling on this that doesn't hinge upon one side doing something completely stupid. Yeah,
well, you know, I guess, you know, visually to a layman this is transformative, but I don't think that this is the definition of transformative work that was intended to be used. I mean, it's from a photograph to a painting and the colors are changed, if you really want to break it down. And that, to me, is not transformative enough to give you new intellectual property rights over an image that someone else took and someone else owned.
Yeah, and I tend to agree with you on that. But you know, I think this is an area where the courts can weigh in, maybe bring a little clarity to it.
It doesn't serve a different function like the
exactly.
Served, you know. They're both pieces of artwork. It's not one's not smaller. That's going to lead you to the other, like the thumbnails did. It's not improving access to information on the internet versus artistic expression, which was the case in you know, the Perfect 10 case. There's no parody that, you know, I don't see it. So
there's no easy route to make this a fair use, basically, or you know what I mean. There's no easy route to make it a transformative use. You can't, like I said, there's no parody. There's no information access. There's none of the easy routes you think of when you're trying to prove something is transformative are available to this. So they've got to take the long route, which is to show that they changed it enough to make it a new expression of some sort. And I'm not quite getting that, you know. That's a long road to hoe there. Well, Facebook. Facebook has been getting a lot of criticism lately. They recently started enabling users to upload their videos directly to Facebook.
Oh God.
So that way, instead of uploading it to YouTube and then linking to the YouTube video, you would just upload it to Facebook and it would appear there.
Yes.
And Facebook actually took a lot of steps to encourage their users to do that, showing preference to locally hosted videos, auto-playing locally hosted videos, basically doing everything they can to make those locally hosted videos as annoying as possible in my feed.
So annoying. Oh.
Well, inevitably, when Facebook started doing that, people started, putting an emphasis on getting content into Facebook. Unfortunately, a lot of that content turned out to be ripped off from YouTube and other video sites, which is kind of a, well, duh. No,
you mean people who upload videos to social media don't create them all themselves?
I know. It's the craziest thing. I didn't believe it myself until I heard Hank Green talk about it on YouTube not that long ago. Hank Green and others talking about. But yes, basically, not everyone on Facebook is honest. It's as shocking to me as it is to you, Evan, I'm sure. But basically, there's been a lot of pressure on Facebook to basically, stop this somehow, some way. So they have said they are introducing their own copyright tool, very similar in function in many ways to YouTube's Content ID, which is their automatic matching algorithm thing. And the idea is that basically, if you go to upload a video that is someone else's, Facebook will initially make you jump through some extra hoops to do it. You'll have to agree to some extra things, tick some extra boxes, and do stuff. And then after you have done that and you upload it, the original rights holder will be notified so that they can make a decision about it. Now, they will not give the user's name, at least not, I guess not without a subpoena or something further down the road, but they will give the rights holder the option to delete the video or take other action against it. So this seems like Facebook's finally getting a little serious about not making their service a free-for-all for infringing content, but yet at this time it's only available to one media monitoring service and Fullscreen, the multi-channel network on YouTube. Though I think they're the largest multi-channel network on YouTube. So don't expect to be able to put your videos in it yet.
That's what we like to call a beta test.
Yeah,
or maybe they already did their beta. It's their beta step 2. It's gonna be like. You're going to log on, and instead of the little red notification on the world, at least people who have uploaded content, they're going to have, I guess, another one, and it's going to be like 34,000 people shared your video. Would you like to issue like a takedown? And it's going to be like, oh God.
Yeah.
I hope they have a yes to all option because, they have, what, like 1 billion users? I don't know if that's the number, but I know it's a gigantic.
Actually, I think it is about 1 billion users. I don't think they're that far off.
So
I think you're probably closer than you think.
So that sounds like it's going to be a nightmare if you have to, whack each individual mole.
Yeah.
The second question I'd like to ask is there going to be advertisement revenue sharing for people who own content? Because that's why people go to YouTube. Is that, for those lucky individuals who are able to make a living, playing video games and putting it on YouTube or, anything else, taking a great video of a puppy and getting 1 million views and then getting a little money, that's a big motivation for uploading and policing their content.
Yeah. Real fast, one side note, I am looking at the latest statistics. According to Q2 2015, the latest we have statistics on for Facebook, at that time, they had 1.49 billion monthly active users.
Yeah.
So you underestimated by a pretty wide margin in your exaggeration.
Yeah. Well, hopefully most viral videos will be shared, so that way there's only one source copy uploaded rather than like re-uploaded. Maybe that would make it a little easier, and maybe that is actually how it tends to function. At least when they come up on my stream, it's one of my friends has shared, Joe Black's video at which 40,000 people have commented on. So hopefully there's only one source, and that way it can be taken down. We'll see.
Yeah.
It has to be seen whether actually revenue is going to be shared, which I think is going to be the big the big moment for Facebook and whether I think their service will take off.
And I agree, the revenue share is going to be absolutely crucial, because that is what has attracted the best of the best when it comes to independent filmmakers there. You know, and I think of people like, you know, the brothers Green, Hank and John Green, and their videos they do, the various channels they do, and so forth. It's that revenue stream that empowers it.
Yeah, do you remember that Power Rangers reboot?
Yes, I do. Yeah,
trailer. You know the
gritty one. Yeah,
the gritty one. That
was a great one. Yeah,
shared like crazy on Facebook, and you know that's ad revenue for Facebook, and not ad revenue for the creators of that the video. So I think that is a problem.
It is a problem, and that's something that Facebook really needs to address if they want to make themselves a video platform for serious online content, and not just, you know, hey, look at the dumb thing my dog did today videos. You know what I mean? If you're gonna, without that business model, there's no way professionally produced content is going to thrive on Facebook. But so, anyways, pre-1972 sound recordings, we're still on that mess somehow.
So it's you know, until the Supreme Court or the legislative branch, you know, visits it, we're going to see these lawsuits continue, or this could be the end if no one does address it, and they're successful lawsuits. But I believe it's iHeartMedia, Cumulus, and CBS are all being sued in the same capacity, or in a similar capacity, as Pandora and
SiriusXM
being sued for their use of pre-72 sound recordings.
No,
ABS Entertainment, which owns Al Green's music, is suing and trying to certify a class that will represent Elvis and Sinatra and the Beatles, which essentially means that they're not directly representing them, but any money that would be recovered on their behalf would be sent out to them if the class is certified, which hasn't happened yet. This is all based on a common law misappropriation theory that basically says that, you know, through the course of case law in New York and California, it's clear that, you know, property cannot just be misappropriated and used. And because a previous California court has said that, you know, this did exist, just because it was never enforced, you know, before, doesn't mean that this doesn't exist, and gave the Turtles their victory. Now everyone else is like, well, it's our turn. Yeah,
and that's what is. And the weirdness about pre-1972 sound recordings, for those that don't know, is that under the Copyright Act in 1909, if Congress did not specifically include a type of content under copyright law, it was not under federal copyright law protection. And up until 1972, sound recordings were not compositions, yes. Recordings, no. And that weirdness, and it's kind of bizarre to think about that now, because in 1909, sound recordings were not particularly common. But, you know, it's not like Congress waited until after the Beatles, Elvis, all those, you know, the Beach Boys, everyone just described in this article, to actually, you know, include it. But, so that meant that sound recordings basically, as you said, fell under state common law, which of course means now we have 50 different states to think about, and we've created a huge mess on our hands. But here we go, and they have, like I said, certified a class action against CBS, iHeartMedia, and Cumulus in both New York and California, the two states that have ruled in the favor of the Turtles. And basically, if you'll recall, SiriusXM recently reached a settlement with the record labels on this exact issue. And it seems likely these major players will pretty much do the exact same thing.
Well, there's also the alternative that the Second Circuit Court of Appeals, which is set to address this, you know, key threshold issue of whether pre-72 sound recording owners have public performance rights under state law. They're about to address that. They've got a few issues to look at. The first being that, well, under New York law, do the holders of common law copyrights in pre-1972 sound recordings have the right to an exclusive public performance? That's one of the key issues that they're going to address. Obviously, Flo and Eddie of the Turtles, as well as all the big labels, will say yes, because legislators basically had the opportunity for carving out public performance from the exclusive rights enjoyed by pre-72 owners, but they didn't. and SiriusXM and all these other people will be arguing that, well, no, because there's no case law at all saying that there's this mobile performance right for pre-sequenced.
But there's no case law saying there isn't either.
Exactly.
That's the problem.
And so there's also a constitutional issue of whether the exclusive right to legislate in copyright it belongs only to the federal government through basically the supremacy clause and the commerce clause that we discussed last week, but I won't really get into too many details there. But yeah, this is just the next level, the next round of lawsuits, and we'll see if the Supreme Court takes this up or if it finishes at the Second Circuit, which is unlikely, or if the legislature finally acts, because I believe that there's a Fair Pay Act on the back burner right now.
Well, and the whole thing is interesting to me because basically in 1972, when they decided to include sound recordings, and they could have, said, okay, by the way, all previous sound recordings, that's under it too, and completely eliminated these issues. But they didn't. They kicked the can down the road, and the can just kept getting dirtier and dirtier, and now we have a real mess on our hands in our living room. So, yeah, let's hope Congress can sort it out. I would actually like some clarity on this issue. Some point within my lifetime, it'd be nice.
Well, good luck.
Good. I'm very optimistic. Can't you tell? Well, okay, let's turn our attention to Japan for just one moment. This one is very interesting because it involves two companies that are actually pretty well known in the United States. There's Square Enix and SNK Playmore. Square Enix, on top of everything else, is very well known for its video games that it makes, including like Final Fantasy and so forth. But also it is a large publisher of manga, or Japanese comics, or what we think of as graphic novels here in the United States. And they were publishing one called High Score Girl, which focused on video games and featured characters owned by a competing company, SNK Playmore. SNK Playmore sued, and admittedly, I don't know a great deal about the Japanese legal system and how all this goes down, but apparently the police got involved and raided Square Enix headquarters, and the manga got put on hold, as did an anime, which is an animated series based upon it, got put on hold. And the two just basically swapped lawsuits and seem to be going at each other's throat over this. Well, guess what? They've settled it, and it's all put to bed. The manga will continue, though they do not have a start date for it. And they seem to be pretty happy with the results. I suspect they struck some kind of licensing deal because, let's face it, there was too much money to be made here not to. Popular comic series, popular characters. It just seemed like a way to make some cash to me.
Yeah, well, sometimes you go to bed at night and then you wake up and then there's like trees on the floor and because there was a huge storm, but you just never even heard about it. That's, I guess, my perspective. I don't know the manga. I don't know the characters. I don't know the companies. And I didn't know about the lawsuit. So,
I understand.
One of those low impact stories.
Yeah, I understand completely. And, I have many friends that are really, really into manga. I have friends who are into anime, and I'm sure they're somewhere at home right now pointing their fingers angrily at the screen at us as they watch this. As
we dismiss their
their hobbies. And I'm not actually dismissing your hobbies. I just don't get it myself.
I unfortunately don't either.
Yeah, so sorry we can't help you. But, one character we do know is Miss Cleomon.
Miss Cleo, I'll tell you your fortune.
Tell you everything. Tell you your future.
So I haven't seen
apparently Miss Cleo. My Miss Cleo is Italian. I just realized that.
Tell me your future.
That's to me, Miss Cleo.
I think we've got a potential crossover fanfiction hit on our hands.
Yeah, no, the Mario Miss Cleo. I could really see this working.
Yeah.
Oh, man. But yeah, so this is a bizarre lawsuit, to put it generously here. Miss Cleo, of course, was a character, if you were breathing any time in the late 90s, I believe it was.
Yeah, and you were watching any kind of late night television.
Almost any television at all, you were subjected to Miss Cleo. As she was, apparently it was 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s. But yeah, she was a fortune teller with a Caribbean accent. Is Caribbean or Caribbean? I can never get that one right.
I think that'll work. You know what? I actually didn't know, before you get into it, that Miss Cleo wasn't her real name. I
Yeah.
found out through the story that it's actually just a character that this woman played.
Yeah.
And she did that on behalf of
Yeah.
what was the name of the company? Do you have that? I don't have that
Yeah, actually,
information in front of me.
yeah, it was. I thought, yeah, it was very bizarre because I think,
Well,
hang on a second.
anyways, the point I wanted to quickly make is that this company obviously would charge people for their fortunes over the phone. And as it turns out, the company, at one point in its business life, was ordered to relieve customers of over $500 million in outstanding phone charges. And they were ordered that it would have to be waived. So obviously, I never called them to get my fortune, but it obviously was quite a fortune to get your fortune.
Yeah, I did, but Tish. I get it.
Thank you.
That was beautiful. That was beautiful. I'm still trying to find the name of the company. Oh, by Psychic Readers is the name of the company. Boy, could you come up with a more generic name. Filed by Psychic Readers, literally Psychic Readers, 2-word company name. That's why we're having such a hard time finding it. It's yeah, but basically they created this character, and her name, Euridel Cleomillie Harris, is her real name, and she's just an actress that happened to play the role. And I remember, I knew she was an actress and it wasn't her real name, because after the company sort of ran afoul of the FTC and the whole operation came grinding to a halt, she, bemoaned, I think quite justifiably, that she was the face of this horrible company, and A, she didn't really make any money from it, and B, her reputation's tainted, although all she ever did was sit in a studio and record a handful of very schlocky commercials. Which normally is just, fodder for embarrassment when you hit it big later and appear on a late night TV show. So like, Mr. Depp, do you remember the first commercial you were on? Oh God, no.
Well, that commercial was everywhere. Yeah. That was not a small time commercial. No. Everyone, and she was probably typecast as Miss Cleo.
Oh yeah, and she was, and that's the thing. She appeared apparently in Grand Theft Auto, I think it was Grand Theft Auto Vice City, this thing says, as someone very, not as Miss Cleo, but someone very similar to the character.
You know what? I don't think we've actually even told the listeners about the story.
No, yeah.
The story here is that General Mills has featured the actress in that persona in a Cinnamon Toast Crunch commercial.
Yes. And now my understanding is they did not say that she was named Miss Cleo, but she was playing a psychic looking very similar to the Miss Cleo character. So implied, I guess, Miss Cleo. And yes, Psychic Readers sued the manufacturers, the McCann Worldwide Group, going back to those generic names, for copyright infringement of their Miss Cleo character. Yeah, now we've come to actually what happened. So it's like, yeah, basically this poor actress, you have to feel bad here. She worked with this company, didn't make a great deal of money, but her commercials were everywhere, as you said. You could not be conscious and during those years and not have seen one of her ads. And basically it's what she's known for. It's all she's known for, despite having done some apparently some great work with gay and lesbian outreach and things like that. She's apparently done some pretty awesome things. But she'll forever be known as Miss Cleo, so she tries to make a little bit of a living playing a Miss Cleo-like character, and now there's a lawsuit over it. Just can't win.
No, I don't think so.
She can't win, and I don't know. What is your thought on this lawsuit, though, from a legal perspective? I've been trying to figure out, can you copyright the idea of a Caribbean accented psychic? It seems
no. This is. You cannot. Okay,
I'm not the only one going.
You cannot copyright that, but you can copyright Miss Cleo.
Yeah.
So as characters become more developed, they become protectable.
Okay, and does the fact they use the same actor, does that impact and make it more likely an infringement in your mind?
Absolutely. Using the same actress, is huge.
And
I think that there's clear substantial similarity, right? Which is a part of a copyright infringement case, which is the character substantially similar to the second character. I think that's pretty cut and dry here. You use the same actress, the same accent. Mm-hmm. The question is the character copyrightable? And little things like fame of the character, they count. And
Yeah.
so even though the stock elements of, a Jamaican fortune woman are not copyrightable, if you, for example, saw Pirates of the Caribbean, they had a very similar character. I believe it was number 3. They had a Jamaican cleric or a clairvoyant character, and there was no lawsuit there. It was different, but using the same actress, and it gets close here. So
it does inch closer. I tend to agree.
Probably side with Psychic Readers here. The network, if the character is as close as they allege, and again, I've not seen the commercial, but if they're using the same actress doing the same accent, I think you've got a problem.
And we should note that they are suing for both copyright and trademark infringement here. They're suing for both trademark infringement and the mark of Ms. Cleo, and also for copyright infringement of the character, which is kind of unusual, but it also kind of makes sense here because I think they believe that Ms. Cleo, the character, is also a trademark unto herself, I guess.
It's very possible.
It is very possible, especially when
registered trademark. Let me do a quick search on the USPTO
test search.
database.
Test search coming up. He's doing a test search, everyone.
Oh, test is the worst. Here we go.
It is. It really
5
is.
registered trademark. Miss Cleo. Miss Cleo's prepaid psychic time.
Oh,
Miss Cleo's
Jesus.
Tarot Power. Miss Cleo's Tarot Power deck, and Miss Cleo Lieberman. Apparently, there's one version of Miss Cleo where she converts to Judaism.
Well, never. I got to say, I didn't see that one coming.
First use, year 2000.
Okay, so so it was 2000. It was the early 2000s then. Yeah.
So these are all dead.
Yeah.
These are currently active registrations, which means that while they may not have federal rights, they may still have common law trademark rights.
Yeah.
It depends. I don't know if the company's still operating or not.
Well,
But at one point it did.
They're operating enough to file a lawsuit for what little bit that's worth. But then again, we know there are a lot of companies that are dead, and like Aereo was dead for all intents and purposes for a long time, but still active in litigation. So,
That's right.
So basically, it's like litigation is the breathing of a company. Sometimes, yes, it's a sign of life, but it doesn't necessarily mean they're up and about and doing a whole hell of a lot.
Well, speaking of which,
this podcast is done.
Podcast is about to
expire.
He's about to expire.
Well, maybe we should call Ms. Cleo and have her tell us what we'll be talking about next week.
Well, I look forward to hearing from you.
I look forward to hearing from you. Oh, man. Well, on that note, my name is Jonathan Bailey. I'm from the website Plagiarism Today, which can be found at plagiarismtoday.com. And I'm username at Plagiarism Today on all the things, Facebook, Twitter, etc., etc.
My name is Evan Sherris. Follow me on Twitter at Evan Sherris.
All right.
And I just realized that my lower third is off. That is a shame. There it is for people who can't get now.
Oh, there it is. Okay, yeah, there we go. Yeah, I noticed it was off, but then I forgot to mention it because we were doing the intro. But yes, on that note, everyone, definitely check out Evan Sherris' Twitter. Send him some tweets. Send him love. Send him marriage proposals or any other. No, don't do that. Okay, that would be kind of creepy.
No, you could do that.
Okay, but anyways, send him tweets. Send him love, and we will see you guys next week.